What's up YouTube, Austin4195 again, and today we are continuing our tutorial on how to make a bucket server. Now today we'll be getting to work on the permissions and the economy, two of which I think are the hardest steps of the entire process. Now, first off, what you're going to want to do, and as you can see I'm running this on a virtual machine, and I've got Windows 8 running. Please note this does work on Windows 7. I just went ahead and upgraded because I already had a copy. So what we're going to do now is we have our bucket folder. As you remember, some stuff's been moved around, so I'm still resetting up my setup. But you'll need to download a program called Notepad++, and I will put the link in the description here when we upload the video. Now, let me go ahead and re-execute our bucket server just so I can go ahead and... Oh, hold on. Like I said, still getting used to my setup again. There we go. It's going to prompt me wanting to access the network. So let's go ahead and let this generate. And I'm granting you access. Come on. Okay. Now we're up and running, but let's go ahead and shut her down. I know this thing isn't going to like me at all, but oh well. Okay, so now we have all our files. Now let me go ahead and put our plugin in, which is Pale, which you can Google that. Just type in Pale space bucket, or you're going to get some weird stuff coming up. Now we're going to go ahead and rerun our server again, but this time we're going to execute Pale, and boom, we now have our nice little server manager again. And there's the Mac one coming down. Okay, so now we have our nice little system. Now, we're going to initiate our next step, which is the setup of our, and always make sure you stop the server. Do not try to exit out. If you do, it will crash. It'll still be running and still eat up CPU. We want to fully close it out. Okay, now we're done. Now, what we're going to want to do is I'm going to post another link in the description as well, which is, this is my mentor, so to speak, of learning how to use PermissionsEX. It is on Planet Minecraft, and it teaches you how to use it. Now, basically, we're going to need to download the example files. But first, there's a little bit of terminology we need to go over, which is user groups, which allows you to give ranks and groups to certain players, meaning different players can have different prefixes in front of their name. Now, another thing is inheritance, which basically means that every rank, when you set an inheritance or a parent, and it inherits all the permissions from the previous group before it. So you think of it as a hierarchy. But as you go up in the world, you get more. You still get to use all your old powers, but at the same time, you get access to all the new stuff. Now, a node basically refers to a command, which you can give or restrict. When I'll show you how to restrict it later on in the video. Now, I have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to have to move fast when I do this. So we're going to download our permissions examples. And these are really, honestly, speaking from a server owner perspective, I basically just modified these. I mean, this guy did an amazing job making them, so why don't we just go ahead and use them? But we're gonna go ahead and go through how to use it anyway. So we're gonna copy that to my desktop, and we've got our PermissionsEX, and we're gonna go ahead and get our BOSeconomy if I can find it. There it is. Just get the newer one. I just downloaded a second ago. Now we want to open this. We want to WinRAR this. You don't have to use WinRAR, but I just prefer to use it just because it makes it fast and I can do that. And now we're going to do WinRAR extract. Okay. And now we're going to take a look at our files we've got in here. And we're going to do PermissionsEX. And we're going to look at file number 1. And we're just going to take a look at it, see what it looks like, get a feel for it. And Windows 8 is prompting me, saying it doesn't know what it's doing. There we go. Okay, so you see we have our default, trusted, moderator, and admin. And as you can see, it does it by groups, and then it has the users. And you can see what user is in which group. Now, the star you see here means that they have all permissions. And that'll come in handy as I'm about to show you in a little bit. But, as you can see, each one has its own inheritance patterns. Like, there's the default, the trusted, the moderator, and admin, and trusted inherits from default, moderator inherits from trusted, and admin inherits from moderator. Now, we're going to go ahead and open up file number 2 now, which is going to have a few more commands. Now, if you notice here, we have a little minus before that permission node. That basically means you want to negate that node. So instead of giving it to them, you don't want to give it to them. And of course, you don't want your guests getting access to your plugins list most of the time, just due to security reasons. You don't want them knowing. Most griefers can abuse that system, so it's best not to give that permission till you know you can trust them. So now we're going to exit out. We're going to jump over to now number 3, which now has a few more permissions, like a lockette. And as with every plugin, it will give you the permission nodes, and it will tell you which ones it can use and what all of its permissions are and what they associate with. So now we're going to go ahead and open up our PermissionsEX. Now we want PermissionsEX and the chat manager. Don't deal with modify world. I'm unfamiliar with what that does, so we're just going to go ahead and go without it. So we're going to go ahead and paste these in. And then we're going to relaunch our server. And it's going to everything's going to hook in now. Okay. And it says chat manager disabled, check YML. Now, another set of plugins I'd really cancel. Almost exited out. See, it's a force of habit, but you can't do it. Okay, we're gonna shut her down. Okay. Now you notice we have files in store. So now we're gonna go ahead and open them up, and this is our permissions file. Now, of course, as you can tell, this one sucks, but that's the config. This is the permissions, and as you can see, there's nothing. And that's why I'm suggesting you go ahead and use your own system if you can. Now we're going to open this up, and it says false, meaning not enabled. So we want to set that to true. Save it. Now we're going to exit out, and now that that's been saved, we don't want to do with our Pale. We're not going to worry about that. Also, another plugin set I'd recommend is the Essentials. And to get that, you can just Google that. Just type in Essentials Bucket. It'll come right up. Always trust the dev.bucket.org. Now, we're just going to download the dev build just because we're running a little bit further ahead. We're actually running if you want to know, we're running a 1.4.7 server now on this. So we're going to go ahead and download the dev build just because we know it's going to work. Now, let's find our files. There it is. And when we're out. So now we want Essentials and Essentials Spawn. That's it. We don't want anything else just because we're working our way up. We don't want to use any of the other ones because we know our setup works. Now, and by the way, if you're watching this video, let me know and I can grant the permissions to allow you to view our plugins. And depends on what your rank is on the server before. You have to have some rank, obviously. So now we've got our Essentials and Essentials Spawn. Now we're going to run it. And now it says everything's enabled. So now we're going to test it. And you're wondering, well, how can you test the server, make sure it's working on the same computer? That's actually very easy, because all we're going to do, let me log in here. Okay, remember password, log in. Yeah, as you can tell, I haven't even run Minecraft on the virtual machine. But basically, if you wanted to connect to it, you can just do you just type it in the IP localhost :25565, and I'll show you in just a second. But what we're going to go ahead and do, well, first off, it might be a good idea if I go ahead and OP myself. Okay, we've OP'd me. And now just while we're waiting, let's go ahead and load in our permissions example. But we're going to go ahead and load in our permissions example number 2. Just because I liked that one. It had a little bit more setup already done. Like, see, this one already has some stuff. So now we're going to go ahead and we need to rename this to permissions. And we're going to navigate to our folder, our bucket, plugins, PermissionsEX, and paste it. Replace the file in the destination. Okay, now we're good. Now you don't have to reboot the whole server just to change it. Since most plugins have a reload functionality built into them. So we can just reload just the permissions file, and it loads up just like that. Now it's going to prompt us for this. I'll go ahead and allow access. And we're going to go ahead and direct connect to localhost :25565. Join server. And it got us in. Now it might run a little slow. And it says, welcome, Austin4195, to the server. Now, and as you can see, Essentials has its own built-in kit system where it'll give you a kit, which is kind of cool. That's enabled by default. If you want to tinker with that, go into the config file.